welcome to a new episode of A Dog's Soul. Welcome also to our new year and to our second series in 2022. I'm Anita, I'm your host and a professional dog trainer, and today we're going to talk about how you could interrupt whatever your dog's doing, but in a nice way. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so if you hear a purring in the background, I'm very sorry, but my little grandma cat has just decided to sit on me. So I'm sorry, but it is like a real honor. So, okay, what we're talking about today is a very controversial topic because a lot of people, and also people who call themselves trainers or even behavior specialists, interrupt a dog with very, let's say impolite methods and techniques. And this is not necessary because even if you just use a very harsh or loud no or leave it or whatever, if it works, it's because it startles or scares your dog. Whenever we get harsh, our body language tends to become very unfriendly and even dangerous. So you can try that with a friend or with your partner if you just get down on the same level as your dog and have your helper get into the position of a normal dog person, and then he has to scold you or tell you no or try to interrupt you with the usual options. And then you can get an idea of how your dog is feeling. And most of the time, the dogs don't really know what they did wrong or if they did something wrong, because whatever they were doing for some reason. And the reason is never to annoy you. I can guarantee you that a dog is just not thinking that way. So he doesn't want to annoy you. So what are typical things we try to interrupt? Eating poop or rolling around in poop. And very often our dogs eat poop to make up for some imbalances in their food. So they don't get enough of a specific nutritional thing, and it's often fiber. But it can be something else. It can be a specific bacteria or something like that that helps them digest. And some dogs just like the taste of it. So the dogs are not doing that because he's thinking, my human is so stupid and I can do this. No, the dog is either trying to compensate for something we do wrong with the food, because most of the dogs cannot choose what to eat. We just give it to them, and it might not be the best choice for that specific dog. And if you want that to stop altogether, you have to get your dog checked out by a specialist. And rolling in poop, it just smells nice for the dog. So it's like when we're using perfume. And other things are, for example, stealing food. Of course, that's kind of obvious because if he steals it, he can eat it. So, of course, our dogs are opportunists and they have a long history of scavenging, and nothing else is stealing food. So, of course, that's natural. And there is a part of our dogs that could value something they have hunted or gotten by themselves higher than something they are given. So it's not definite, of course, because we cannot know exactly what our dogs are thinking, but observations tend to go in that direction. So what else? Very often we try to interrupt behavior that just results from a very high anxiety level or arousal level. For example, your dog is greeting visitors and he hasn't learned how to do that in a calm way, so he's just very excited and he likes people, so he runs up to them and jumps up because he wants to lick their faces. And he doesn't do that to annoy you as well, or to make the clothes dirty, or to rip them apart, or something like that. He does that because he hasn't learned how to deal with visitors in a different way, and how to stay calm when there is something exciting happening. So, of course, for the dog, it makes total sense. It gives him relief, and he gets to greet them, and he gets to jump, and he gets to show his excitement. And if you don't want that, you have to train on it, of course. But if you already are in a situation where your dog is doing something that you don't want, then the easiest way and the most fair and nice way to do that is just with a marker signal, or with your dog's name, or with an attention signal. Whatever your dog's already comfortable with, and whatever he knows best, and of course whatever has the best reward history. Because of course the behavior your dog is doing is rewarding in itself, because it fulfills a need, and therefore you have to compete with that reward. So your reward, or whatever your dog's expecting from the signal you're giving him, has to be either equal or better. And of course, if you have a marker signal that keeps your dog guessing, so sometimes he gets a play, sometimes he gets a treat, sometimes he gets to sniff somewhere, sometimes he gets whatever reward is in the surroundings or in the environment, that would be a very sure thing. So it is very likely for your dog to stop whatever he's doing because you're using that marker signal. And same is with the name or an attention signal. First, it's trained very similarly to the marker signal, and of course your dog expects a reward, and if that reward is of a higher value, or at least equal to whatever your dog's doing, then it will work. And of course, we don't want to use that all the time, because of course, whenever your dog is doing something he shouldn't do, it's often because he's endangering himself or someone else, or is just unhealthy. And of course, we don't want that, and we want to get your dog to stop that altogether. And there is, of course, no way that excludes training. And with every marker signal, or with every positively trained cue, you are rewarding whatever your dog did before. So let's say Bulldog Bob is walking towards the table where you left your food alone for a second, and he just walks up there and he's ready to steal that because it smells really nice, and the odds are good that he could reach it and eat it. And of course you catch him, and you use your marker signal the moment he opens his mouth to eat the food. He stops because you just told him, this is nice, you will get a reward. And of course, he combines trying to steal the food with you telling him that was a nice job. And that makes it more likely that Bob will try that again, because first, yes, he still wants the food, and second, you told him that that's a good idea. And you see, that's a circle we don't really want. So using the marker signal, or a name, or whatever, recall, or whatever it is, should be an exception. And if you notice that you have to do it more and more often, then this is a clear signal that you should train on the behavior, and you should try to eliminate it completely and not just interrupt it. But for once in a lifetime situations, or if you just were a little too slow or whatever, it's a really good idea to use those things. They're a nice alternative to the usual old stuff, or whatever you want to call it, other stuff, and your dog will continue to love working with you, and he will not be afraid of you, whatever he's doing. Because what happens very often with other methods, like yelling at the dog or throwing something or whatever, is that whenever the dog is doing something he's not supposed to, or he doesn't know if he's supposed to or not, and you get somewhere near him, he will be afraid. And of course, we don't want the dog to be afraid of you. And that's why I will always prefer the nice methods over some old fear-based things. And if you have a situation where you just don't know what to do, how to get a foot in the door or whatever, feel free to write to me, feel free to send me an email or WhatsApp or whatever. And of course, also, if you have any questions, if you want any topics discussed on the show, or if you just want to chat, I'd love to hear from you. And I wish you a very great time with your dog, a very exciting and awesome start in 2022. And of course, good health. And we'll see each other next week. Until then, have fun. Bye.